Hello everybody. After this shortened week, I was going to do two different index videos for you. In my own watch list, I've got one watch list with 16 indexes, which is what we're going to do now. And then there's another with a dozen, which I consider kind of more important. So these are all still important, but these are like not my key ones that I follow. Most of these I'll have a few things to say about. A few I'll probably just jump right over, but here they are in alphabetical order. And on the whole, I mean, I just looked at all 28 of them. On the whole, the Dow Industrials is kind of a freak. Everything else is beautifully topped out at areas of dreadful overhead supply and should turn lower. The Indu, I'm not saying it's not going to turn over, but it's freakishly strong. But you'll see that tomorrow. Anyway, we begin here with the All World Index. And you can see over the many decades this covers three major tops. This is the most recent one. And we've been following in a fairly clean fashion this sine wave of lower lows and lower highs. And most recently here. So my hope obviously is that this is the latest incarnation of this and this, as we slide lower, because I can assure you in each of these instances, people figured that we're all done, the bear market's finished, and it's all up from here. You know, people are very complacent now. We've got a VIX at 20, so yeah, the time is right for turning. Here is the Dow Jones Composite, and this goes back to the 70s, and this one is right at the razor's edge. You can see here this trend line has neatly hemmed in prices, and today literally is like to the pixel. I mean, just to be very clear, this is anchored to the August 16 top, and today, I'm recording this on Friday after the close, today it exactly touched, I mean, EXACTY, wait, I can't even spell, EXACTLY exactly touched that trend line. Pretty remarkable. Only if it goes down, though, of course. Here's the Dow Jones Composite. And this is an interesting one because naturally this incorporates some of the Dow's strength. And we can see that we're at price levels now that are identical to what we saw in April 2021. And the world was a very different place in April 2021. You know, interest rates were basically zero. Fed was very accommodating. And it's just remarkable to me that in the, you know, what is it, 20 months or so since that took place, we've basically gone nowhere. That seems remarkably highly valued to me. But there we have it. And the zone we're at now is right coming up toward this gap right here that took place. You can see. Very close to that. Here is the financials, Dow Jones financials, very, very pretty. And we can zoom in here and you can see that this line of demarcation has been a pretty potent zone of support and resistance. And in this case, we are getting right up to that same proximal gap, August 19/22. We approached it here, retreated, and now we're back right where we started. So you can see that this line is beneath all this top. Dow Jones large cap, not particularly interesting. I'll just zoom in there for a bit, but you can see it's kind of the same idea. This goes back about a quarter of a century. Gold bugs index, probably the least interesting of all of these. We'll just move right on. Nikkei 225, probably the second least interesting one. Here is the, now I couldn't find out the depth, and don't bother writing because I don't care that much, but what the, actually, you know what? I just saw something. Because I was wondering what on earth is the NYSE TMT index, and then I noticed, and here's a little pro tip for you. I'll do this again. You see how the date is at the top, 10/6/2022, see how it's in red? That's basically saying that this hasn't been updated in a long time. And what I'm going to do is go kablooey and stop following it. I don't know if it doesn't exist anymore, if it's off the data feed or what, but I was sort of like, what's with this index? Because it looked really odd. But anyway, it's dead now, Jim, so we'll just move on. Here's the Russell 3000. And naturally, these Russells don't look dramatically different from one another. A little hard to read. Here's the RUI, the Russell 1000, same idea. You know, yes, you can see the sinusoidal wave, but it's not going to win the awards for the cleanest pattern on the planet. I've seen a lot worse, though. Here's S&P Energy, which looks almost identical to the XLE right now. And you can see here we are kind of out of energy, as it were. Spent the past few weeks just kind of, you can see in your mind's eye, I'm kind of tracing it out here. I'll just draw an arc to make it more obvious. You can kind of see what's going on right there, see? It's so tiny, I'm not even gonna leave that, but I just wanted to illustrate what's been going on in the past few weeks with energy. Here is the Tadwool All Share. I think it's from Saudi Arabia. And I think this is also illustrative of how vulnerable energy stocks are now, because you can see that over the past 15 years or so, this channel's been pretty helpful. And what we're seeing here is, I believe, a cousin at least of what we saw back here. And breaching that midline would be a pretty big deal, I think. Here is the FTSE 100 index, probably the third least interesting one. You can see it's kind of a mess. It's kind of surprisingly strong. We had this incredible plunge. I'm not sure why it was so. Well, that was back. Okay, that was COVID, and then it's been kind of pushing higher and higher. So we're kind of at pre-COVID crash levels. Unlike our own markets, it didn't go to like lifetime highs. But that one seems kind of stuck in the muck. And that goes back a long, long time, back to the early 90s. Or even, let me see here, let me get a closer look. No, early 80s, excuse me. It goes back to Ronald Reagan. XAU, kind of a bore because I'm not really doing anything with precious metals, but I will point out this line here, which I think is a pretty good guide to all this overhead supply. And that's right where we're at right now. Here is the, now this is incredible to me. Let me make sure this is, yeah, this actually, unlike the TMT, this is up to date. I just don't know why, but this is at lifetime highs. That to me is puzzling, to put it very gently. But for whatever reason, the NYSE MX Composite is at highs I've never seen in human history before. So yeah, talk about defying the bear market. This is just, wow. And the last one is the broker-dealer index. Not a great one to finish on because it's a real sloppy mess right now. It had been a pretty okay pattern back here, but as with the FTSE, we've just kind of meandered right back into the thick of it here, not doing much of anything interesting. But of these 15, there was a few gems in there, I think. Okay, well, that'll be it for this one, but I will have another one for you tomorrow.